Did you see the leaked audio of Joe Biden?
No.
From during his presidency?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Audio came out from her investigation.
Oh, from the interview, sure.
Yeah. When he was being, I don't know if it's deposition.
The one that they had suppressed.
Yeah. So the audio somehow got leaked. Did you hear any of it?
I haven't heard it.
Okay. I'll play some for you.
Okay. We have nothing to look at, though, right?
No, we're just going to hear it, really. So to put this into perspective, he's just being asked about dates for these classified documents because he left the White House in 2017 is when he left the White House.
Okay. And
his son Beau had died in 2015.
Right.
So just giving that background here.
Okay.
Documents related to the Penn Biden Center or the Biden or the cancer shot or your book. Where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working on?
Well, I don't know. This is what, 2017, 18, that area?
Yes, sir.
Remember, in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying. And so...
His son had died years earlier.
Yeah, he's already gone.
It was, and by the way, there were still a lot of people at the time when I got out of the Senate that were encouraging me to run in this period, except...
So I'm just going to stop it there because we don't want to listen to the whole...
No.
It's almost 5 minutes. He basically just rambles with those long pauses in between the entire time.
Right.
And the ironic part is you can hear a clock in the background, just like tick,
oh,
tock,
no.
tick, tock.
I should have played the Jeopardy theme.
There's like 5-10 second intervals of silence between each, like just mumbling few words. And so he randomly brings up his son who died.
Right.
Like out of nowhere. He's like, well, remember my son is deployed or dying. And it's like, okay, this is 2018, 2017. Your son already died in 2015, well after his deployment.
Right.
He's already dead by this time frame. And he brings up his son. And then the weird thing was when the report came out that Biden had cognitive deficiencies of some kind, this happened during his presidency, right?
Right.
He got up and he did a whole speech about how they brought up his son and they insulted him and how dare they bring his son into this and all this. He brought up his son.
He was the one that did it.
By himself, out of nowhere, for no reason.
I'm a little suspicious. I wouldn't say suspicious. I think it's noteworthy that they're bringing all of this stuff up now. The conservative media is you see this stuff on like Newsmax and I guess Fox, right?
Okay.
They're bringing up a lot of Biden stuff.
Yeah.
Why the hell are we still talking about Joe Biden? Why?
We're talking about, I'll tell you why we're talking about Joe Biden.
I think I know, but go ahead.
We're talking about Joe Biden because the media knows they have a huge trust issue now.
Right.
Because nobody believes anything they said because they lied about Biden for the past 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're doing this big story. They're basically rewriting history to make it sound like they're just now learning that Joe Biden was cognitively impaired. So they're making it like this is the story of the decade.
But why are they doing that?
They're doing it to cover their tracks.
That's right.
Because we all know they didn't cover it for the past 5 years. So now they're doing it as if they're all learning right now.
The only thing that I can think of why we're still going through this right now is because they're preparing. I think that it is possible that there are going to be hearings. There's a lot of this stuff is going to come out in the future about the cover up.
You mean like a DNC rebrand of some kind?
No. I mean that a lot of the stuff that obviously was covered up.
Yeah.
Right. I think that this is going to be brought up, and it's going to be brought up on an official capacity.
Right.
People are going to be called to task on it. They're going to be called to testify, and there could be people that are going to be in a lot of trouble who lied through this whole process. The media did lie. We know that.
Yeah.
But even politicians, even people in office, senators,
okay, so why would they be bringing it up at all?
Because, well, they're bringing it up now to keep it alive so that when they do, this is fresh in everybody's head, that this is all the stuff this is all the evidence coming up now, even before there's a single hearing.
I think what they're doing is I don't know. You're almost making it sound like this hurts the Democrats, but I think they're doing it in order to rebrand.
I don't know.
I think they're reimagining
Well,
themselves. So they're going to go through this sort of fake catharsis,
Right.
Where, oh my God, we didn't know, and we're so sorry,
Right.
and
But
now
why-
this is all coming to light, and now they're going to put forward a candidate who's like, this was wrong, and I'm here to take back the reins. It's all going to be manufactured.
It could be, but it could also be that they're bracing themselves for the accusations that are coming.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I mean, this is clearly an old man who
Yeah.
can barely speak. Like, this is like nursing home
Right.
ready.
Well, it seemed that
You
way.
know?
It seemed that way during his candidacy too.
Yeah, it did
Yeah.
in 2019.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or in 2020. Yeah,
we could see this coming.
Yeah,
down
we
the
said
road.
it in 2020.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Well,
We're
anyway.
still talking about Joe Biden. There's absolutely really no reason to talk about Joe Biden unless someone's going to benefit from talking about Joe Biden.
I think the Democrats are going to benefit because after the media reports it, the sort of new guard of Democrats are going to
Yeah.
be able to grab it and
Maybe.
say, look, we're here to tell the truth and we're
Right.
going to be your new Democrat party. That's what they're going to do.
All right.
And the first sign of their rebrand is their new logo, which is the donkey with diabetes legs.
The donkey with diabetes legs.
Yeah.
Who the hell is that?
Okay. Have you seen their new logo?
So the donkey
Democrats,
with
yeah,
diabetes legs.
Democrats redesigned their logo.
Yeah. Okay.
Now they used a flat design. So
Oh.
here's the new logo.
They used a flat design.
That's what it used to be.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Nope. They got a new one. That's the new logo.
Okay.
So it's got big, thick legs.
It looks like a pinata.
Yeah. That's exactly what it does look like a pinata. That's good. Yeah. I guess they are a pinata in a way, but everything's wrong with this. The proportions, like just from a design perspective, which
Yeah.
is why it's interesting to me. The proportions are wrong. It has a giant head. It's got big, thick, meaty legs.
Yeah.
It's got a little tiny weird tail and a rectangular
Yeah, this
body.
is
Everything's wrong with it.
I don't know. I think the Democratic Party is pretty much destroyed.
Yeah, it's not working. So anyway, speaking of Joe Biden,
Too much politics.
speaking of, well, we're gonna.
Why are we talking?
This next one goes a little political too. It's both spiritual and political. Old men in power. We have a new pope.
Yeah.
The world has a new pope.
Leo
Leo the 14th.
the 14th.
Okay. So what do you think of him? You like him? You not like him? You don't care, I guess.
I don't care that much.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I mean, I'm not Catholic. You're not Catholic.
give him a yeah. I was born Catholic. I was raised Catholic.
You're technically Catholic. I guess
Technically,
they would consider you Catholic.
They would consider
right?
me Catholic. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
a lapsed Catholic.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian.
Yes. So
Not the hallelujah, throw your hands up in the air, born again type.
Yeah,
okay.
I know. So the thing with him though is everybody's trying to figure out what he's going to do.
Right.
I don't care so much about the church related stuff because we're not Catholic.
Yeah.
But he's still the head of a state. He's still head of state for
Sure.
the Vatican.
Yes.
And he has a lot of power about what happens in politics in the U.S. Actually, specifically immigration. That's like the big thing that the Catholic Church is involved in that nobody really knows. A few people know it; they talk about it, but we talk about the cartel, we talk about the U.S. government, but nobody's talking about the church. The church plays a huge role in illegal immigration into the United States.
They do?
Oh, huge!
The Catholic Church?
The Catholic Church essentially is, if you think of illegal immigration, the head is kind of the U.S. government because they
Yeah.
could just turn it off if they wanted with the border. But the left hand is the cartel and the right hand's the Catholic Church. And they're the ones who migrate everybody through. How that works is all these migrants, they come through Mexico, they pay the cartel, they pay smugglers who work with the cartel, if not the cartel directly. And that's how they get through. That's how the cartel makes billions of dollars a year. When they get to the border, they cross the border. The U.S. Border Patrol processes them, releases them at the border. Here you go, you're in. And that's when the Catholic Church comes in. Now, it's not the church itself, it's Catholic Charities.
Yeah.
Catholic Charities USA, which is a charity that operates in the U.S. It's directly tied to the church. And there are bishops involved with it and everything like that. They get over $1 billion a year in federal money to basically help transition these immigrants into the United States. They give them bus tickets, plane
I
tickets,
see.
food.
Right.
They put them in hotels. They basically get them in and get them to the cities they want to go to.
I call that aiding and abetting an invasion.
Yeah, they're aiding and abetting. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And they do it under the guise of Christian charity work, a Christian ethic of
Sure.
basically helping the needy, helping the poor.
Right.
It's like, well, these are poor people. We got to feed them. We have to clothe them. We have to house them. Okay, but did you have to buy them a Greyhound ticket to Chicago? I don't know. So, but that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. And they receive literally $1 billion a year from the federal government to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
$1 billion. They are the biggest organization doing it. All these NGOs
They're an
do it.
NGO, yeah.
Yeah. So all these NGOs do it.
Right.
Without the NGOs, it wouldn't be possible.
Right.
Without the NGOs, they couldn't. None of these immigrants could get where they want to go without them. And the Catholic Charities is the biggest one doing it. And I think that's honestly, I think that's why Prevost was chosen to be Pope, because his whole thing is like, oh, he's kind of a moderate. You know,
Right.
people think he's a Republican because they looked at his voting record, whatever. I look at his voting record, I saw it, and it totally matches basically a right-leaning moderate who hates Donald Trump is exactly what it is. Because it's like voted in the primaries in 2012 and then voted in 2016, but then after that just like basically like didn't vote in the Republican primaries.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you know Trump's going to be it, you're not voting. And he's spoken out in the past against Trump's immigration stance.
Well, the Pope is a powerful person,
Yeah.
right? Always. All popes are powerful. But where I see this guy even more powerful, I think he's got a lot of high-octane fuel in him. One fact, he speaks English.
Oh, yeah.
He can communicate with all of America.
I think that's pretty cool, actually.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
But if he's got a political bent, if he's got an agenda,
Right.
or if he could be reached with an agenda to push through him, which I'm sorry, he can be. I think they can be. You wouldn't want to think that.
Right.
But he can communicate with our press and our people like no other pope can.
Yeah, yeah. And the funny thing is he's got two brothers, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen both of them?
I
don't know who's letting them do these interviews, but they're all over the place.
Yeah.
You know,
I only know about the one, and he sounds kind of MAGA to me.
Oh, yeah, Lou.
I don't know.
It's
his
Lou.
name.
Lou's his name.
Lou, okay.
Yeah, and Lou, by the way, Lou could not be more of just a retired old Florida guy. I saw his Facebook profile.
Yeah.
Because that's where all his posts were,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You go to his interests, he has like his likes,
Yeah.
right? There's like 4 likes there. It's like shooting guns, dancing, and RVing.
Oh my God.
It's like him in a Hawaiian shirt with his wife. It's like
Yeah, right.
clearly just a retired Florida guy.
Right.
But yeah, I think he was in the it was either Marines or the Army or something like that. So he's totally MAGA.
Well, who's the other one?
The other one is his other brother's name is, I think it's John.
Yeah.
And I think he's pretty liberal.
Yeah.
And John has said in an interview that I saw recently, he said that he thinks that Leo is going to be the next Pope Francis. He said he's a second Pope Francis. That's what he said.
Meaning a liberal,
Meaning he's going to
basically a socialist agenda.
continue the agenda.
Yeah, right.
The agenda, which is essentially, it's something called liberation theology. And what it is, it's infiltrated the Catholic Church. It started in South America, which is where he worked. Prevost worked in Peru. That's where he did his mission work and stuff. It takes Marxist ideology, which is class warfare, haves versus have-nots, and it applies it to theology. It says you have a Christian duty to basically help all these poor, redistribute the wealth from the rich to the poor. And not just on a local scale, but on a worldwide scale, like mass immigration. Like you have to move all these poor immigrants to where the money is, which is why you have Catholic Charities spending billions of dollars a year migrating people.
Yeah.
Entrenching them into landlocked, U.S. cities.
Right.
Hundreds of miles away from the border.
Yeah.
That's how they're getting in there. They're being transported in by Catholic Charity. So that's part of this liberation theology. It's basically tear down establishment, tear down the rich, and give everything to the poor.
Yeah.
Through revolution. That's what it is.
Well, he's already made political statements.
In the past, you mean?
There was a little I don't know, clash with J.D. Vance, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, within the past year or so.
Yeah.
Right. So the Pope came out against what J.D. Vance said.
Right.
Because J.D. Vance was referencing, it's called Ordo Amoris. It doesn't even matter unless you're Catholic, you care about stuff like that. But it's basically the idea is like you have to love the people closest to you before you love the people further away. Which is like, well, that sounds wrong. But it depends what you mean by love. But it's like, you mean take care of? Yeah. Sure.
Right. You have to define love first. But the way he put it is it's family first.
Yeah.
First your family, then your neighbor, then the community. What is the order?
I don't know where. I don't know where your self goes, but first is God. It's like you got to love God first.
Yeah, but that's not the statement. The statement that he made.
You mean from J.D. Vance?
Correct.
Yeah, but it's like I don't remember exactly, but the idea is family, then neighbor, then community.
I know, but isn't
state,
that's where the conflict came? The Pope disagreed with that.
Yeah, the Pope disagrees because he was using it to talk about deprioritizing mass migration.
Yeah.
And saying we have to prioritize. And that's the
I know,
thing.
but that's the thing. He's stepping into a political element.
The Pope did. Yeah, well, this is Francis. Francis did.
This is Francis.
And what Prevost did is he tweeted an article that criticized J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
So that's his contribution. He didn't say anything directly. He just tweeted an article that clearly showed that he was against it.
Right.
So
which, by the way, that's the odd thing right now is I kind of agree with him on it.
With the Pope?
Yeah.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, I agree with the Pope.
No, it depends how you define love, because what he's saying is, and he's right about this, J.D. Vance, is that if you're not taking care of... I mean, imagine as you as head of the household, right?
Yeah.
If we had problems within our family, let's say, right? There's a family, and we have problems, could be, I don't know who, and a friend of yours has a problem. Just a friend, right? And you have to choose between who you're going to help immediately. Is it going to be the family member, or is it going to be the friend of yours? You're going to choose the family member. That is going to be the priority at the time. And then if you have time left over, which you probably do, you're going to help your friend, right? That makes sense?
If you think that's love, yeah.
Right, but that's what they mean. They're talking about love in the sense of who you owe, your responsibilities. That's what it's talking about.
Right.
So,
well, that's not what love is. Love is.
I get what you
Jesus didn't prioritize love. He said, love everybody.
Yeah.
Right. If you have love is nothing more than the absence of hate.
Right.
It's the default. And then you love. If you either you have love in you or you don't. And it's not, there's no flow chart of love.
Yes. So the thing is, the Catholic Church literally has different types of love.
Yeah, I know.
They're all in Latin. I can't remember them all. They got
well,
like 3 different types or something.
Well, that's what religions do. They categorize everything.
Yeah. So I think they're more talking about your responsibilities,
I guess.
And it's like your allegiance. You have an allegiance to your family before you do to a family friend.
But you're not even going to be able to love your family if you don't have love in you. If you have hate in you, if you have any bitterness, if you're resentful, you can't love. You're not capable of love. You're full of anger.
Right.
Anyway, so you can't love you can't follow a hierarchy of love if you haven't got any in you.
Right.
And if you have it in you, you have it equally for everyone.
Yes.
So you can't systemize it.
I more or less agree with you. I understand what J.D. Vance is saying. I wouldn't call that love. I would call that responsibility. I think he's right. If you relabel it responsibility instead of love, I understand and I agree with it. So.
Okay.
But as far as how we talk about love and define love, I agree. Yes, of course you have to. I mean, Jesus said, "Love your enemies." So.
Love your enemies,
right.
Which is everybody.
Yeah.
Well, no, not every. Love everybody, including.
Yeah.
Love everybody, including your enemies.
I don't know the way you interact with people. Sometimes I wonder.
You can still punch your enemy in the nose if he needs it.
Yes.
That doesn't mean you don't love him.
Yes.
Because you can do that without hating him.
Well, right. Because if you reconcile, if love meant reconciliation, you wouldn't have an enemy anymore. It would be love your friend.
That's right.
But it's love your enemy, which means you must have enemies, which means you're against somebody.
If you have real love, it's present no matter what. It doesn't take your input, doesn't take your actions. You will act accordingly with love all the time automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think.
So anyway, I think they chose this Pope because he is so strongly in favor of mass migration.
Yeah,
that's why they chose him.
Could be.
That is why, because that's where all the money is right now. In as far as how the Catholic Church and Catholic Charities is operating in the United States. That's what they do. It's billions of dollars a year.
Right.
And that's what's important to a lot of these people. A lot of these people who have been indoctrinated with this sort of Marxist ideology. That's what's important to them, is transporting as many third world people as possible into first world countries. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
So there's another cardinal too that people wanted to be selected for Pope. His name is Cardinal Sarah, and he's from French Guinea, and he's a black guy actually, but he's very conservative, and he's written papers before where, or I don't know if they're books or articles, where he says, well, the best way to help those people is to help them where they are. You have to change their culture. Their culture is what the problem is. You can't just transport them into a place with nice culture and think that they will somehow benefit from it.
Sure.
You can't just like give them everything.
Right. Well, that's how traditionally Christianity was spread throughout the world to begin with, was done by missionary work, going out and carrying the
That's
carrying
what
the
it
work.
should be.
That's how even the disciples went out from their original location and they carried the message of Christ.
Right. And sent letters and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's how Christianity became a worldwide phenomenon.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, everybody come to Rome.
Yeah,
Hey.
right. Yeah, why don't we export them all to
Got
the
a lot
Vatican?
of nice stuff here.
Send everybody to the Vatican. Take down the walls.
Yeah, where they have these big walls in place, right? And these ridiculous looking guards.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. So let me say this. Okay, let me show you this clip, okay?
Yeah.
Here's what you end up with when you just bring people in from anywhere. Here's a migrant in England in a shelter, okay, with hundreds of migrants around them too.
Okay. This is in England.
Yeah.
Why should English people pay for you to have a house?
Maybe they give me house, they give me anything I can need, they give me.
Just give it.
Yeah.
Why?
Because people in England is perfect.
Oh, so you think we're all rich people, so we can give? Okay. Can I tell you something?
Okay.
We are not all rich people. If I said to you, look, we don't have enough houses in England, would that stop you coming to England?
Okay. Maybe I come back in my country and I change in another country after.
Yeah, maybe you try another country if you realise that we can't afford England. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now I just want everyone at home to understand that every single person in this room is absolutely desperate to.
Okay. So he says, I mean, you heard it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why should we give you a house?
Right.
Why should we pay for your house? He just says, give me. It's like, give me.
Well, you didn't have a compelling argument.
No, he should give me. Why? Because I think he said they're perfect. Meaning, I mean, his English obviously bad. Perfect would mean, I guess, good is like, because you're good people. You give me whatever I need.
Right.
And he's like, what if we can't afford to?
Yeah.
It's like, we can't afford to. He's like, then maybe I go home. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So go home.
Okay. The problem is they're giving them all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they can't afford it. So people are suffering.
Right.
And that's the thing too about this Christian ethic of feeding the poor and clothing the poor and sheltering. You can do it if you can.
Yeah.
You can't do it while hurting your own people.
Right.
And we don't have the resources to do this. We don't have the ability to do it.
No, we don't.
But here we go. And when you have organizations like Catholic Charities, along with basically working with the government to allow people in and bring them where they want to go and give them all this stuff, that's incentivizing them to come. Right. You're telling them, you're essentially giving them the green light to go. I mean, they know it's like, if you make it to the border, which you can, if you pay the smugglers or pay the cartel and go through the checkpoints and horrible things will happen to you, but that you'll make it, hopefully. They'll take care of you when you get there. They'll talk to this organization. They'll give you a Visa card. They'll give you a plane ticket. They'll give you these things, and they'll get you to the city you need to go to. Mm-hmm. If they thought that wasn't going to happen, they wouldn't try. They wouldn't leave their own home country and go.
Right.
So they're enabling this. They're enablers for this kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, we are too. I mean, we do the same thing.
Well, I was talking about Catholic Charities, and just based off,
Yeah.
Well,
the thing is, it's been
this clip is not Catholic Charities, as far as I know. This is in England.
it's been studied for years that Americans
Yeah.
are the most charitable, philanthropic people on the planet
Sure.
when we're doing well.
Yeah.
When you take our stuff and you decrease productivity, and we're not doing so well, and we're
Right.
suffering, we stop giving because we don't have it.
Yeah.
We haven't got it to give.
Unless the
we
federal
give less.
government compels giving
Right.
through tax money
Right.
that it doesn't have
Yeah.
and starts giving billions of dollars. I mean, if the Catholic Charities is doing this with government grants,
Right.
that's just our money.
Yeah.
That's not charity.
No, that's not true.
That's just our money.
Right.
That's the government paying charities using our money, that's being redistributed to immigrants, to illegal migrants.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yep.
So, and the new pope's not going to stop it. If they did get somebody like Cardinal Sarah, who obviously is against mass migration of the into the West, he would probably put out letters and put out decrees that would stop this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But they picked somebody, I believe, on purpose, who was totally on board with the mass migration game.
Right.
That's why they picked him.
Right.
So,
Okay.
mass migration to Europe and also to the United States.
Okay. So you know how much I've always loved my Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Not the new one.
Not the new one. The old one.
The old one you love, the new one you don't like at all.
Right. But
Yeah.
even that one had a feature that I didn't love.
Right.
Either. I didn't hate it in the hateful sense, but was definitely not one of my favorite features was the auto stop start feature.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody
hates the auto
everybody
stop
hates the auto stop start feature.
terrible.
So the first time I ever encountered auto stop start
Yeah.
was I knew I'd heard of it, but
Do people know what it is?
yeah, everybody's got it.
I think most people okay, for people who don't have it, or if you have an older car, it's when you press it, it's when the car actually turns off.
Yeah.
When you brake and you're stopped like at a light, for example.
Right.
The engine actually turns off,
Yeah.
right? And then the engine turns back on when you take your foot off the brake.
Yeah,
But there's always a delay. So people who are like quick drivers,
Yeah.
I don't mean reckless, just like people who are on top of their game. You can't move right away. You have
Right.
to wait till your engine turns
Right.
back
So
on.
if you want if you need a fast acceleration, you don't have it.
No, you
just
don't have it. You have to wait for
But
your engine to turn
right.
on.
So everybody knows. Everybody's got that. So the first time I ever encountered it was I rented a car from the airport
Yeah.
and I stopped off some supermarket to pick something up, and I was in the parking lot, and I just stopped the car for a second, and the engine went off.
Yeah.
I went, oh man, what the heck? And I couldn't get it going again.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do I do? The car won't start. Oh, I got to call. I'm going to call. I think it was Hertz at the time. I got to call Hertz and tell
Yeah.
I didn't know what the. And then somehow it started. I got it going again. I go, well, there. I go, wait a minute. This is that stop start thing.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I totally hated it right away.
Right.
And I bought a new car. Bought a new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Couldn't stand it. I mean, absolutely couldn't stand it. It like stopped. It was very startling, and for everybody goes through this experience, I'm sure. But the whole idea behind it was, oh, they'll get used to it. They'll get used to it. I never got used to it.
No, of course not.
I never got used to
course
it.
not.
As a matter of fact, you remember I went out and I bought one of those devices that you could actually bypass it. I asked you to install
Yeah,
it.
I installed it.
Yeah, you put it in for me.
Right,
Thank
under
you-
the seat.
Thank you very much.
You plug it in.
So then I never had to worry about it again. But you know,
That's the thing, is that there's a button to turn it off.
yeah,
But it resets every time
Every time.
you turn the car off and back on.
right.
So you always have to remember to press the button.
Right. Now
It's
you know why
terrible.
that is.
I do know why that is.
Why? I know why too.
It's government regulation.
Yeah, it is.
That's why.
I know, but why isn't the default okay? Why like opt out?
Because they don't get to include it in their miles per gallon
Right.
estimates.
Right.
And they probably don't get the credits. They're like emission credits.
They don't get the
earn
credits, right.
If they make it so it stays off.
Right.
So they have to make it turn back on every time
Yeah.
in order to get the
When
government.
they test these vehicles,
Yeah.
they do a tailpipe assessment.
Okay.
And they measure the emissions, and they have a period of time when it's idling, and then they have a period of time when it's gassing.
Yeah.
And they measure it and they average it out. Well, when it's idling, it shuts off.
Right.
So it's fake. It's not a real life situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't actually save any money. I mean, it saves a little bit of money. You save I don't know. I saw statistics that I saw a study that said that you would save like $50 a year or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, over the course of the whole thing, but it actually winds up being more expensive because of the wear and tear on the vehicle. your starter. That's the thing that always bothered me. Is like it's going off, going on, going off, going on. It's like wearing out my battery, wearing out my starter.
Yeah.
So you had to pay more for more expensive battery that could withstand that. And I saw an estimate that said that you save like maybe $50 to $100 a year.
Okay.
You know, but over the course of it, it's going to cost you $1,500. So it's kind of like a wash.
Yeah.
And it's really nothing. You save like miles per gallon. You save, from going off, you save like anywhere from, half a mile to a mile per gallon or something like that. It's some really low amount. And it really doesn't amount to very much. Not only that, but if you're on the highway, it doesn't go off. So nothing's happening.
I just can't stand not being able to move when I want to.
Yeah.
After coming to a stop.
Right.
I like if the light turns green, I want to go.
I want to be able to go.
I need to go right away.
Yeah.
If I'm coming to a stop or if I'm waiting to turn onto a street, right? And I'm going to wait for the opportunity when there's a time to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to find out that I need another half second for my engine to start.
Especially when there's a guy next to me and I'm who's going to go first?
That happens to me every single day.
Yeah.
And it's always me who goes first, by the way.
Well, I take it off right away.
When I'm sitting there next to a car, knowing that we're about to both go and then merge after the light,
right.
I make so it's like off immediately. I'm like, I'm going to go right now.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the funny thing about it. It's an annoyance. Yeah. I always equate this to dealing with annoyance, dealing with resentment. At the time that I had it, I used it as an exercise.
Okay.
Every time I get in the car and I forgot to turn it back on or off, I'm turning it off, right?
Yeah, you're turning the feature off.
Turning the feature off. And I remember half the time I would forget to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the time I forget.
Most of the time.
Until it goes off. There's that temptation to get annoyed.
Yep, it's like, oh, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
So step back, watch. So it's like an exercise in love.
Right.
Trying to love my Jeep, who apparently hates me. And it keeps testing me. It's like having
you have to love Stellantis.
It's like having a bad wife. It just keeps trying you and trying you and trying you. You have to, and you have.
Well, you don't know anything about that.
Why?
You have a very good wife.
She's okay.
I have a wonderful mother.
Hey, listen, I've been married to her I've known her for 50 years.
Yes.
Okay.
I know.
So all wives are testing, and if you're a real man, you step back and you love them anyway. Mm-hmm. So I've had to do that. Then when you installed that thing that it didn't go off, I lost that opportunity.
Oh, it was much better.
Well,
it was so good.
Oh yeah, it was much better. Well, now they want to do away with it. They're going to take it out because it was just environmentalist theater. That's all.
Oh yeah. The new administration is because the EPA is the one who forces this anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Lee Zeldin.
Right.
He's the what's his title? He's EPA. It's not a cabinet position really. It's
yeah, it is.
Well, it's got the privileges, but I think it's really just a separate entity. I think his title is administrator.
His official title is
Administrator.
EPA administrator, which is Environmental Protection Agency.
Right.
Yep.
So it's not really officially a cabinet position. I mean, he's located like a couple blocks away.
It's cabinet level.
It is, right.
So
so he gets to sit at cabinet meetings and stuff like that.
Sure.
But anyway, the thing is, the government has no control over that. Well, they have control over it, but it's indirectly. They do it by regulation.
Yeah, they incentivize companies to do it. They basically, if the companies don't do it, they're not competitive anymore.
Right.
They have to do it.
Right, because of they get a carbon credit.
Yep.
And that started back in, I guess it was the 90s, if I'm remembering correctly. They started issuing these carbon credits in order to bring down the carbon footprints of each company.
Yeah.
And what would happen is you'd be penalized if you exceeded emission standards.
Right.
So they had the standard emissions, and if you exceeded it, you had to pay a fine or whatever.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like on a per car basis. It was like the whole company.
Right.
So you would get credits if you went under, and where you went over, you had to pay a fine. Then they average it out, and maybe you didn't pay any. But the standard was still there, and most companies exceeded it. Why did they exceed it? Because they have vehicles. Because Americans want big, powerful SUVs and Yukons and Trailblazers and all these, right?
Maybe.
Well, we do.
I don't think we do. No.
Well, a lot of people. Well, there's enough of a market that they want to sell them, so that they're not going to reduce the emissions on all of them. But they weren't at the time reducing them enough. Mm-hmm. So the whole company has They wind up paying a fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So they start implementing these measures to save so that they would be able to comply.
Yeah, what you're trying to say is they offset.
They offset it. Yeah,
their
that was the word I was
the
looking
things
for.
the bad stuff they do in other places, they're able to offset by this really good thing called stop start,
Right.
auto stop start.
But it was
stuff
a
like that.
minor contribution to the whole package.
Yeah.
This whole thing was started by the UN. Did you know that? We didn't sign into that agreement to do that with the UN. The UN started this like in the 90s.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they had a whole trading system set up where companies could trade. So you could be like a solar company earning all these credits that you don't use, and you could sell it. You could be building solar panels,
right,
and sell all your credits to a coal factory.
And guess what? That's what Tesla does.
Yeah, they made like over $1 billion doing that.
Their profit solely basically comes from selling their credits.
Carbon credits.
Now, my friend sent me that one day, and he said, "Look, Tesla's not even profitable if it weren't for the U.S. government."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Listen, like that's profit. It doesn't mean that they go out of business if they're unable to sell these, because these credits shouldn't exist in the first place.
Right.
Probably. I mean, it's all government manufactured. It's a fake market, right?" And he's like, "Look, they wouldn't even be profitable." I said, a lot of businesses aren't profitable. They spend all the revenue they take in order to grow.
Right.
Tesla is just taking these credits and they're almost like giving them away to make a few bucks here or there. But Tesla doesn't go out of business because they can't sell their credits anymore.
No, of course not.
Yeah. My friend thought this meant that Tesla is propped up by the government.
No,
I'm like, no, they would just not spend all their money anymore.
And and they would sell those credits to like GM.
They do, yeah.
Or with Chrysler or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So those Stellantis now.
Right.
Stellantis and GM basically funded Tesla
in a way
in the early days.
I don't know about that.
You could look at it that way.
Yeah. No, but like I said, I mean, their profits are totally, like, for all the money they make.
Right.
And spend,
right.
It's like this giant amount. Their profits are like this little tiny amount left over from selling the EV credits.
Right.
It barely changes the calculus at all of their, of their net income or anything like that.
Well, it's a scheme. It's a scheme to control
of their income statement. I meant to say.
Yeah.
But anyway,
they're walking it back now.
Yeah.
And they're not walking it back by making it illegal to have them.
Right.
Okay. What they're doing is they're going to take away the carbon credits. Now,
yeah, but that removes the incentive to put the stupid feature in
the
car because nobody wants it.
Nobody wants it, first of all, and it's not needed in order to comply anymore.
Right.
So now they can sell it. But the thing is that wait a minute, now they're going to start selling these cars with these terrible emissions, or are they not? Or are they going to pay? And they're going to pay the fines, right? Companies aren't going to like that.
Okay.
So what they're going to wind up doing, I think, is they're going to wind up changing the emission standards. They're going to start raising those. That's really where this is going.
Well, here's the thing, and this is why I pushed back against what you said about the big SUVs like the Yukons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't think Americans totally want those. I think that
it's an awful lot of them on the road.
I know. I think that preference is manufactured by the U.S. government. I think it's fake. And that comes from the same, it would be like you saying everybody must want the stop-start feature because it's in all the cars. No, the government put things in place to incentivize companies to put it in. Now, in this particular case, everybody hates the stop-start feature. But with these big SUVs, the reason they're manufactured is because when you look at what the car companies are actually allowed, how do I explain this? The EPA has regulations in place for how much a car is allowed to emit.
Right.
Their emissions.
Sure,
right.
That's it.
And that makes it so it's more cost effective for them due to government regulations to build a bunch of giant ones than a bunch of mid-size SUVs or mid-size like pickup trucks. Like we used to have small pickup trucks.
Yeah.
Those are gone. You don't see smaller pickup trucks anymore.
No, you see F-150s and
right, like these giant things, and that's because the government has disincentivized making those. You're better off just making the big ones because you're going to have to pay through the nose because of the fines that come with the emission standards.
Right.
That's why these happen. This isn't the actual preference of the consumer. If you let the preference of the consumer take over, a lot of people think that you'd have a lot more mid-size pickups on the road and mid-size SUVs. But instead, we got all these Yukons and these Escalades.
I know that theory. I know
and
that
these
theory.
F-150s.
Yeah.
We don't actually know what the market prefers because the government is so involved.
Right, they're involved in it. So we have all of these giant vehicles right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Because it's more cost effective due to all the regulations to just make a bunch of big ones.
Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll get rid of that, and the next vehicle that I purchase will not have it anymore.
Well,
Or at the very least, maybe it'll be voluntary. In other words, I can put it on because I am a wonderful American and I'm trying to save $50 a year.
right. Or you know what would just change the game is if they make it into a button that just remembers how you set it.
How you set it.
when you turn it off and back on.
Right.
Like if I turn my car off and then I come back the next day, I want that feature off again.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want it to turn back on because it's a new day.
Yeah.
That's what they do now. So
Yeah.
anyway,
No, and I'm like most Americans. I can't stand it either. I don't like it either.
oh yeah, speaking of cars, by the way, the last thing, did you see, do you remember Jaguar's rebranding?
Well, I remember rebranding in their look,
Oh, in their everything.
in their everything.
Do you remember or not?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, tell me more.
They went nuts, right?
Yeah.
So they had that, let's see if we can get the video. I think there's a YouTube video on it. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay, here it is. Copy nothing. This was the name of their new campaign.
Right, that's right.
Great.
This makes me want to buy a Jag.
Create exuberant. What does that mean? Live vivid. Delete ordinary.
Yeah, there's nobody ordinary here.
Yeah, just like a bunch of androgynous people wearing dresses and, you know, stuff like that. So that was jarring and upsetting.
Yeah, I don't know. That's supposed to make us want to buy a Jaguar.
And that does not make me want a Jaguar. So they went through that and they got huge backlash for it. Because I mean, who's buying who wants a Jaguar? Like, don't they want to appeal to men who want like fast cars, basically?
Men that want fast, luxurious cars. Some people like luxury, some people like fast. So you get a Hellcat if you don't care about luxury, or you get a Jag if you want a little bit of both.
So this would appeal to like
No one.
anorexic, androgynous LA people, right? I mean, how does this?
I guess.
How does this match what a man wants in a car? So anyway, just out this week are reports that they are reviewing their rebrand and they're having second thoughts now.
Yeah.
So they sense, whatever that means, and hunt for new ad agency after woke disaster.
Right.
So basically, they're doing an internal review. The thing is, they signed an ad agency to do all this, who must have sold them on this idea that, like, you have to stand out, we have to be different, we have to create attention. And they signed a long contract with them. So they're supposed to be in bed with this ad agency for the next, like, 2 years. And they don't want to be, and they're looking into reviewing how they can kind of get out of this contract they have.
Well, congratulations, Jaguar.
So hopefully they do, but I mean, they're not going to sell any cars with this stuff. This is just, it's not what people want.
Listen, the whole world is realigning right now.
Yeah.
There's so much going on in every part of the world. It's pretty impressive.
Right.
And it's happening very, very rapidly.
Yeah.
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 Amazing.
Well, hopefully there's a big return of masculinity. People should not be afraid to say that this is stupid and I don't want anything to do with it.
Right.
You know,
Jaguar was always a pretty masculine vehicle.
Yeah.
Used to be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would feel funny driving one now because I wouldn't want to be affiliated with
that.
With
no,
that.
Of course not.
No.
And here's the thing: even if you didn't mind it,
Yeah.
because of the backlash,
Right.
you're embarrassed
Yeah.
by it.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't want people to know you're driving this car that's associated with this ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Speaking of cars, have you seen the? I didn't even think of this. Have you seen? I think was it in Qatar, where or was it? It was during this trip that we were over in the Middle East. Anyway,
I never went to the Middle East in my life.
No, not us. Our country, the administration, Trump, and
Donald Trump went to the Middle East. Okay,
along with a few hundred other people. Yeah.
Okay.
Or however many.
Yeah, however many.
Yeah, they had over there. They had Cybertruck police cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw them, and they were like.
Oh, that sounds like Dubai or something.
It might have been Dubai. They had these. They were like they looked like fire trucks. They were like bright red and They had insignias on them. They looked really, really vicious.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And yeah.
This might be a clip. Let's see.
Yeah. Yeah, there they are. Yeah, that's them. Isn't that crazy?
That's interesting.
Yeah, but the thing is, so they've been making Cybertruck police cars for a while, actually over the past year or two.
Okay.
But they don't really put them into service as police cars. It's kind of theater lately.
Right.
It's kind of just theater. I don't know what they're doing with these in this country.
Yeah.
In Dubai or wherever that is.
Yeah, those are pretty crazy.
but they've been doing them here in this country. So they roll out these Cybertruck cars that are fitted as police vehicles, but they're not using them for, they're not going on. They're not, you're not going to get pulled over by a Cybertruck. Not lately anyway, but maybe in the future.
Okay.
They've been using them for like community service and PR
whatever.
and, DARE programs and stuff like that.
It's a bunch of boring stuff.
Yeah.
This is Qatar, by the way.
Oh, that's Qatar. Okay. Yeah, they're pretty, I don't know. They're kind of garish looking, actually.
Yeah, I don't know about the colors. I mean, it's the Middle East, so. Is that it for today?
I think so. Yeah, is that it for today?
Okay, I think we're done.
I think we are.
Okay, cool.
Okay, good.
Bye.
Bye-bye.